What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel for part 4 of my garage redo, which is going to be installing an air conditioning unit. So the one that I have is actually a mini split from Mr. Cool, and I got this through a trade deal actually. I traded Mr. Cool some laser engraved mugs in exchange for a 24,000 BTU unit for my shop. So hopefully this will do the trick and keep everything cool so I can work out here in the summer. And I'm going to walk through the process of installing it. This is the DIY unit that is pre-charged and you should be able to do yourself. And I'm going to see if that is as easy as people say it is. If you like what you see as we go through the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to go ahead and get to work trying to put this up. I'm going to show you the unit that I have, walk you through it, and everything else. This was actually delivered on a truck, and they lifted it off and actually brought it into my garage for me. So that was kind of painless as far as that goes. They had to call me and be here at a certain time. So beyond that, pretty simple. I had to buy a platform for the condenser section to sit on when it's outside, and I'll show you all this as I go through it. I also want to say that I know nothing about air conditioning units. Nothing about how to install them or anything else. But it's pre-wired up there. The breaker's not installed yet, so this isn't going to be wired up today. It'll probably be wired up tomorrow. My friend Frank is going to come help me with that portion of it. We'll see how easy this is for somebody that knows nothing about air conditioning units or how to install them. So let's get started. So this is actually the unit that I have. It's a heat pump and air conditioning unit in one. It's the DIY 24,000 BTU. Going to unpack this first and then go through. The condenser is over there. We'll do that last, but let's go ahead and unpack this. Well, it's packaged pretty nicely. So this part is the template to be able to hang everything on the wall. I need to find the actual mount that goes on the wall, but we'll put that to the side. I'm actually going to take this top part, put it back in the foam, because I think the bracket is underneath it here. These are the pre-charged lines at the bottom. So go ahead and do that part. And maybe not. Let's see. There's the bracket. On the bottom, this is the bracket that's going to hold it to the wall. I need to figure out how to get it off. Make sure I don't damage the lines in the process. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So, I don't know if you can see this, but right... Oops, there's a screw. Once that screw is off, hopefully be able to mount the template. And I'm actually going to search around for the manual because I don't know where that is. I didn't know where it was. I literally just pulled it out of the box maybe a minute ago. When I open this up, the first thing is a quick setup guide. And then the installation manual, remote control, and user manual. So I'm going to go with the installation one. So yeah, step 1 is the wall template. So we'll go ahead and do that part first. Just make sure that unscrewing that, well, it doesn't even say. So I'm going to assume that we take this off by taking that screw out. With that, the bracket template, that the bracket will be secure against the wall. I also have a mark here on the wall to show me how high up the bottom of the unit needs to be. In the manual, it says if your ceilings are below 9 feet, I think it said like 78.5 inches. So this is 78.5 inches. I'm going to make sure the bracket sits above that. So I'm going to mark everything up over here and get started doing that part. So the reason that I'm using a magnet to define the stud is I just put the drywall up, so I know there's drywall screws. And the other part of this is my stud finder confuses the foam insulation behind this with drywall, or with a stud. And it always thinks that there's a stud where there's not. So these two are really close together. This one's a little further out. I think it's 22 from here to here. I might be slightly off on that. But I'm going to hold the template up to these lines and hope that things match up. Actually, I'm going to try to use the bracket right now. I think it'll be easier to see, but I will use the template because the hole for the drains and everything is right there. But I'm going to try to use the bracket. I think it'll be easier to see through. Okay, I think I'll be good. So I have these vertical holes here. The downside to this is the vertical holes are all the way to the end of the bracket. So I can't hit these two in the middle, but I think I can hit these two here. So I'm going to go ahead and drill one hole, make sure it hits the stud, secure the bracket to the wall with that one, level it out, and then start adding more holes from there. So I actually held the bracket up and marked out the holes with a level. So I'm going to go back, put this template up against those holes to mark the port hole, and hopefully everything will line up later. Alright, so I'm going to line up the holes in the template with the holes that I marked from the actual bracket, just because it was easier for me to see that way. So I'm going to line this up, make sure that this piece of paper at least, hopefully it's cut straight. So theoretically, if I level it out here, I can mark this hole. Okay, so I've got the hole marked for the port, and now I'm going to go ahead and hang the bracket. Okay, so the bracket is up. It's held up with 3 screws on each side. All are into the studs, which is what I wanted. So let's see what the next step is. Okay, so it looks like the next step of this is to actually drill the hole in the wall to do all the piping and everything. So to me, this is probably the most nerve-wracking part because you're drilling all the way through the side of your house. So I have the hole saw installed. This one is actually an 89mm hole saw. The manual calls for at least a 90, but the step after this is to put the wall sleeve in. So the wall sleeve ring actually fits inside of the hole saw. Good tip here is this ring is not in the box with the air handler. This is in the box with the condenser. So I spent like 10 minutes looking for this thing to find out it's in the other box. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and drill the hole. It says to drill it at a downward angle so that the drain line goes out, so that it's easier for it to drain through gravity. And make sure you wear all the safety gear to do so. Alright, so I was able to drill the hole out. The thing that was stopping me, or I was running into, is this little metal mesh stuff. This is in the walls here, and I had to drill through this to get to the outside. So what I did was I actually went from the outside and came in. It made it a lot easier. And then when I got to the end, I just snipped this metal stuff with the clippers. So you can see the hole. So what I'm going to do is go outside, put that protective sleeve on the hole itself, and then hopefully move on to the next step. So this piece It needs to go on the exterior wall of my house. The hole is slightly bigger than this, so it kind of just slides in and out and is not secure. I don't want to use epoxy because it gets really windy here and it'll fall right out. So what I'm actually going to do is drill 3 holes in the ring of this, so the outer ring, and secure it to the wall with screws, and hopefully that'll do it. Alright, the wall sleeve is installed on the outside. Next step is to attach the air handler to the bracket and feed the lines that are attached to the air handler through the hole that we made. So my friend Frank showed up.
Hey.
From For the Love of Grace. He's going to help me hang up the mini split air handler portion and feed the plumbing through the hole from before. Just because it's kind of rigid, it's kind of difficult to do by yourself. So he volunteered or got suckered into it, one of the two. But he's going to help me out, and we're going to go ahead and get that part done and then try to hook up the rest of the system as we go.
That's fine. I just gotta get this part out first. Go through, straighten it out.
Yes.
And then your center on the clips.
So thanks to Frank.
Hey.
It's up. He fed the line through. We got it on the bracket. We're going to go outside, try to do the condenser part. It's super dark, so we'll see how much you get to see. So the hose is through. The screws I put in earlier did not hold like I thought they would. So we're going to put the sleeve back up. The rest of the hose is on the ground. There's like 25 feet of it. So we're going to start the condenser part. I'm putting the condenser on a plastic platform that I purchased separately from the unit. And right now I'm going to connect all of the wiring that's going to be needed from the inside unit coming to the outside condenser. First I need to take this panel off. Then this is a critical piece that we missed the first time, is we need to feed the wires through this housing on the side and make sure that we connect the wires after feeding it through that housing. If you don't do this like we did the first time, you're going to find out later and have to take everything apart and redo it. So make sure that the first time you feed everything through, connect the wires together that have the clips, connect the ground to the panel, and make sure that you feed the wire cable through the black ring that's on the side of the unit. Once all of that's done, you can go ahead and close it up. Okay, now the connections. So you can't really mess this up, so we'll find a way to do it, I'm sure. But you have the black to black. Gray to gray. Checking for the leaks with Frank's help.
Any bubbles?
I don't see any.
And
Looks like we're good to go.
Good, no leaks.
Good to go. Okay, so we're doing things a little bit out of order. We're going to check the drain line and make sure it works. So we've already done the refrigeration stuff. But we're going to go ahead and check the drain line and make sure it's draining out the back. I'm going to remove this filter. So we have the units installed here. We have the lines connected. The drain line is working. We tested all of that. We can't do all the electrical yet because I didn't have all the parts. So we're going to approach the electrical tomorrow. There's a box set up that's already wired to the inside. We just need to get outdoor cable to come down to the unit and power it up. And then hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to run this thing. So let's go to tomorrow. Welcome back for day 2 of installing the AC unit. So today we're going to tackle the electrical, tie up a few more things outside on the condenser unit, like actually securing it to the pad. Frank is back here again to help with the electrical part. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. Oh, this may be problematic.
Washer's too big?
No. The hole to mount is like beneath the screen. True. Probably easier to just pull it all the way out of there.
Oh.
I think it loops.
Yeah, those are going to have to loops. Actually, hold on. They have a flat bar, right? Behind it? Yeah, you can just shove the wire on either side of the screw.
Go ahead.
Perfect.
Okay, now all the power is ran, everything is hooked up outside, so we're going to test run it. Gonna flip the breaker on, turn the actual AC unit on to the lowest it can go, and hope this thing works. So right now it's set to 62 for the test run. We'll see if it gets any cooler in here. Okay, I left my house for about an hour maybe. Came back, I left the unit on, and it is cooler in here. It's about 20, maybe 25 degrees cooler than it is outside. It's about 110 outside. So it's about 90, maybe in the 80s in the shop. So I know it says 62 on the unit. It's just what it tried to set to. I don't think it's going to reach that until it's cooler outside. But it is bearable to be in here now, which is awesome. I can actually work out here and not be sweating and basically wanting to overheat. You can hear it a little bit. So the air is blowing directly on me. And it's not like a normal air conditioner where it's kind of distributed around the whole garage. It's really just coming out of this wall and trying to cool the whole space. So it's definitely cooler on this side of the garage than it is on the other. But I mostly work over here and the laser's over here. So this is where I need it to be. Now I'm going to go ahead and start installing the Wi-Fi controller for my phone. So I'm going to shut it off real quick and go through that process. First step is to shut it off and then open the cover. So there's a box up here that the USB key is going to plug into. So I'm going to read the instructions real quick and then try to video that portion of it. Okay, so this is pretty self-explanatory. Basically, the USB key plugs in up here. So I'm going to just plug it in. And that's supposed to be it. So I'll just close this down and power it back on. So now that that controller is installed, I'm going to walk through the phone app installation, and I actually already installed the app. So I'm just going to go through trying to connect to the unit and hopefully get this up and running to run off my phone, and then I can control it from inside my house. And that's it. The smart controller is installed. I can control it from my app. So now I can turn it on from inside or wherever. And it's going to be so much better that I can actually work in the shop. So if you like what you saw in the video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, give my man Frank a high five, and go check out his Instagram for helping me out with this. And I will see you next time.